how did you, came to become a hypnotherapist?
Wow, I've been interested in this kind of spiritual type of thing for all of my life. Yeah, so my father died very young, at the age of 50.
50歳だったんですけど。
And it was caused by stress. He had incredible stress from a lot of trauma in his life. And then that called to my attention, and I didn't want that to be me. I didn't want that to happen. So I started to look into the healing arts. So hypnosis, meditation, energy work, Reiki, that kind of thing. So I was, I ended up in meditation. I was transferred to the United States and started taking a group there with crystal healing and meditation and energy. And then the woman who facilitated that group took Reiki training, and so that's where the Reiki came into my world. And I was wanting to conceive my second son at the time when I took the Reiki training, and he came to me and said that he had come a couple of years ago and said that he wanted to be born. He wanted to come, and so I had to go through his father had to have a vasectomy reversal, and then we just had a lot of upheaval in our lives. A lot of things happened in Canada with NAFTA, and it really killed Canada, and everyone lost their jobs. And because he was French, he could get transferred to the United States to manage their company from that side. But we were wanting to have the baby. I didn't want another baby, actually, and then the baby came to me. So he had the reversal in Canada. We were transferred to the U.S., and I found, through synchronicities, I found a meditation program, and this led me through the crystal healing, through the Reiki training, and then the timing, at that time the baby, my son, I started to get more clarity and connection with the universe or spirit, and then he came through. And so as soon as he could talk, he told me where he was from. That he said that it's hard to put in the words, but he was with spirit, basically, or he was in heaven or with God. And then he said he picked me to be his mother. And then he said, I asked how he got here, how that happened, and he said, I don't know, I picked you and then I was here. Yeah, so he's given me a lot of insight from where he was, and he's said how the babies, it's kind of, to me, it's like reverse hospice. So when people are dying, they're leaving the world and transitioning, and from this way they're entering the world, but it's the same type of a transition. And so I've been on like almost a quest that I didn't choose but have said yes to, have been following, that's led me to all of this. It's like an initiation. And I asked both of my boys a question when they were 3. He said, at the light. And the other one, I said, my question to him was, where is your mind? And he said, here. So I tried to ask them, I try to be open with kids because they have a lot that they bring through if we pay attention and don't shut them down. Yeah, so long story short, I did the Reiki training. I felt a calling to Chicago, and so I put the house up for sale, and I knew how everything would go, that I had to just trust it and do it. And when I got there, I wanted to take hypnotherapy because I thought it would be complementary to Reiki. And then in the first hour of training, I knew this was my calling. It was very spiritually guided, how everything came together. So after the training, I began working with the hypnotherapy school. And then they asked me to go to the National Guild of Hypnotists conference to help them with their booth that they had there. And that's where I met my husband, who had gone there for the first time from Denver. And so we met and we got married within 3 months. And so I then moved to Colorado to join his practice. And then Denver is a hub for fertility treatment. It has 2 of the largest clinics in the country and probably in the world right there in Denver. And so I think it was a timing that these babies need some assistance to come through. And so women started to come to my practice for general reasons or for things like needle phobias. And to do fertility treatment, you have to take a lot of shots. They have a lot of needles. Yeah, so you can't be afraid of needles. And then hypnotherapy is very well known for helping with phobias. And so at that time, IVF was really becoming more and more probably present, more and more prominent. And then many of the medical doctors were giving women a 0% chance to ever conceive, even with medical treatment. So basically saying, you're not going to have a baby, go out and do something else with your life. Or they would go to the doctor and they would just evaluate them and say, you have no... And so then these women came to get help with processing that, to either let go of that need or desire to have the baby. And then the women, the IVF women or women that were doing the painful treatments were feeling better, a lot better. They would call it a night and day response. So the hypnosis, they were saying, was helping them immensely. And then women were given a 0% chance of getting pregnant, even with medical assistance, were getting pregnant naturally doing a hypnosis.
So from there on, that you started to teach other people about hypnofertility techniques, and then also...
Women kept coming in. I wasn't trying to get them, but it was like energetically they were coming, and I started... There was no information, there were no trainings on anything fertility hypnosis, so that's when I realized that I had an opportunity to create something. And it was always dear to my heart. I was always very attracted to babies, or that desire that women would have to have a baby, even when I was a little child. And then even when I was 9, the first test tube baby was born. And I was in the car and I heard it on the radio. I remember this really clearly. And I thought, oh, thank goodness, now every woman who wants to have her baby will be able to have her baby, which is unusual for a 9-year-old. So it's just always been something I've been drawn to. And so soon I worked with so many women, and they were just coming from everywhere. For some reason, they were just, I don't know if you can help me, but I feel like you can help me, just showing up at my practice. Did I say this? I looked for trainings, and there wasn't anything. So before I knew it, I had enough, like I had honed it, or I had developed something specific to work with these women, and started teaching it globally in 2003. And so then I soon enough, the book came through. I felt like I needed to write the book. And the purpose of the book was to let women know, to let the public know that hypnosis was a viable option, that they had another choice, because there's not very many choices for help. And so then I knew if I released the book that this was going to be my life's work, that this was going to be it. I knew if I did. And then I had to, go within and really tune in if this was what I was going to do. I knew this was what I was going to do, but it was big. And so I had one of my graduate students who had been a baby client with me, and then she took the training, and then she was working with me. I had her do a life purpose regression with me to see if, what this was about before I released the book. And so the babies were there in the life purpose regression. So I sort of went to where I was before I was here, which I guess is where they are. And they told me that the alignment was off, and that's why they needed my help to create the path, because they couldn't get in. It was like they were, hitting something and they couldn't get in. So they showed me one of them. There were some of them there, like the little orbs, the little babies. And one of them entered into, one of my clients was going through an IVF process at the time, and so they showed me the baby being placed into her body. And so I knew that she would be pregnant, which later I was confirmed. And so then at the same time, they took me to a library, the sort of spiritual library. And then they showed me my book on the shelf in the library. And then Wayne Dyer is one of my favorite authors in self-help. So he's very well known and has been very influential in the spiritual realm. So they showed me his book beside my book. So I took that to mean that eventually this would be, this was so needed by the public, and also that it would need to go to critical mass. I needed to get this into the collective, into the awareness. So that was my answer.